Where's the party?
Are we muting everybody here? Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to serve with sharing Srimad Bhagavatam class with you all. Today's verse is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, verse 41. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kayam Vayum Agnim Salilam Mahim Cha Jayotimshi Satvani Disho Drumadin Sarit Samudrams Cha Hare Shariram Yatkim Cha Bhutam Pranamed Anamyaha. So we will go through the synonyms and the translation. The purport is quite long, so I will be highlighting points of the purport in my further discussion. So the synonyms: Kam, ether; Vayum, air; Agnim, fire; Salilam, water; Mahim, earth; Cha, and; Jayotimshi, the sun, the moon, and other celestial luminaries; Satvani, all living beings; Dishaha, the directions; Dharma Adin, trees and other immovable creatures; Sarit, the rivers; Samudran, and oceans; Cha, also; Hare, of the Supreme Lord Hari; Shariram, the body; Yat Kim Cha, whatever; Bhutam, in created existence; Pranamet, one should bow to; Ananyaha, thinking nothing to be separate from the Lord. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. A devotee should not see anything as being separate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Ether, fire, air, water, earth, the sun, and other luminaries, all living beings, the directions, trees and other plants, the rivers and oceans. Whatever a devotee experiences, he should consider to be an expansion of Krishna. Thus, seeing everything that exists within the creation as the body of the Supreme Lord, Hari, the devotee should offer his sincere respects to the entire expansion of the Lord's body. Nama Om Agyana Tamarindhyasya Gyanjanan Shalakaya Shakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pascha Deshatarane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I want to thank you all so much for giving me an opportunity to speak on this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Before I dive into the points I want to highlight, I would like to ask for your blessings that I may speak on behalf of the wisdom coming from Srila Prabhupada and his disciples in a way that sparks insight and nourishment for your spiritual journey. I want to start off today by simply appreciating the ways in which this verse opens our awareness to the magic of how everything connected to Krishna's service comes alive and is an emanation of him. I was struck by the meaning of Dharma Adim, the trees and all immovable creatures. As I read this, I was brought into remembrance of the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, where all the trees, creepers, and even the dust are living emanations of him that come alive for the pleasure of Krishna and his pastimes. The dust softens itself so it does not harm Krishna's precious lotus feet. The trees offer shade to Krishna, the gopas, and the cows. The breeze spreads the refreshing fragrance emanating from the flowers and creepers. With this vision alive in his heart, Lord Chaitanya prays in his 5th verse of Shikshastakam, "My dear Lord, I am your eternal servant, but somehow or other I have fallen into this ocean of material world. Kindly pick me up and fix me as a speck of dust at your lotus feet." As I was researching one of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayers about becoming an insignificant insect, where the holy names are chanted, I became amazed by the entire prayer and how it points to this higher vision of seeing everything we have, everything we go through, and all that we are in light of Krishna's all-pervading nature. Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays, "Mind, body, family, and whatever else may be mine, I have surrendered at your lotus feet, O youthful son of Nanda. In good fortune or in bad, in life or in death, all my difficulties have disappeared by accepting those lotus feet of yours as my only shelter. Slay me or protect me as you wish, for you have full authority over your eternal servant. If it is your wish that I be born again, then may I take birth in the home of your devotee. May I be born again even as a worm, as long as I remain your devotee. I have no desire to be born as a Brahma who is averse to you. I yearn for the company of that devotee who is completely devoid of all desire for worldly enjoyment or liberation. Father, mother, lover, son, Lord, preceptor, and husband, you are everything to me." Bhaktivinoda says, "O Kana, please hear me. O Lord of Radha, you are my life and soul." With this amazing spiritual vision fresh in our minds, let's now take a look at the analogy offered at the beginning of today's purport that points us to whatever our mind focuses on will shape our vision. The disciples of Srila Prabhupada say, "It is our practical experience that a greedy man will see money everywhere. If he goes to the forest, he will immediately consider whether it would be profitable to purchase the forest land and sell the trees to a paper mill. Similarly, if a lusty man goes to the same forest, he will look everywhere for beautiful women, tourists who might happen to be there. And if a devotee goes to the same forest, he will see Krishna there, knowing correctly that the entire forest, as well as the sky canopy above, is the inferior energy of the Lord. Krishna is supremely sacred, being the supreme person of Godhead. And since everything that exists expands directly or indirectly from the body of the Lord, everything is sacred when seen through the eyes of a self-realized person." So I had to ask, what's the difference between these two visions? One is vision emanating from the false ego, and the other is vision emanating from the true self. So it is my hope that I can contrast these two visions and direct all of us towards the true self in connection with Krishna. False ego tricks us into believing that we are the possessors and doers, thus leaving us striving and hankering for happiness in the external world. This hankering leaves us in a mood of scarcity, of there never being enough, or we aren't doing enough, or we aren't worthy enough. This striving puts us in a mood of competition and comparison. We see differences amongst one another, which entangle us in the ropes of envy, jealousy, and pride. False ego can so easily trap us in a scarcity mindset, which places us into endless anxiety. We are all hankering for love, happiness, and satisfaction. The illusion of this temporary world is that happiness is found in exploiting the resources of this world as an attempt to fill the Krishna-shaped hole in our hearts. We turn away from Krishna, believing that once I have that perfect job, the perfect car, or the perfect family, then I will be happy. Text 37 of this chapter reminds us that when we turn away from Krishna, we forget our constitutional position as servant of the Lord, which is the root of fear, hijacking our minds and entrapping us in Krishna's illusory energy where he cannot be seen clearly. In contrast, the true self is part and parcel of Krishna, a spark of his inconceivable nature, which is filled with eternality, knowledge, and bliss. Sat Chit Ananda. When we chant the Maha Mantra in a mood of gratitude, of desire to draw closer to Krishna, and with a prayerful plea to develop the eyes that see as Krishna sees, we enter into being bound to Krishna by the ropes of love. Later on in this purport, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura speaks about the power of seeking our true nature as it relates to our eternal position as loving servant of Krishna. He contrasts immature renunciation or Phalgu Vairagya to true connection to Krishna's service or Yukta Vairagya. The disciples of Srila Prabhupada break down his warning as follows. If we do not see everything as manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we shall become victims of Phalgu Vairagya, or immature renunciation. Whatever we see as disconnected from Krishna will have in our mind no relationship to Krishna's service. But if we see everything as connected to Krishna, we shall use everything for Krishna's satisfaction. This is called Yukta Vairagya. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura states, one who has experienced his own true identity understands that all things exist as paraphernalia for giving ecstatic pleasure to the Supreme Lord. Thus, one becomes free from the separatist vision in which one sees the world as existing for one's own enjoyment. In the transcendental state, whatever a devotee sees reminds him of Krishna, and thus his transcendental knowledge and bliss increase. This is the essence of spiritual life, offering all that we have, all that we do, and all that we are in service to Krishna is how we can begin to offer respect to Krishna's expansive and inconceivable body. Krishna reminds us that Arjuna that he is the well-wishing friend of all living beings. He reciprocates with us according to our desires and our vision of him. We know from Krishna's pastimes that some living beings desire to remember Krishna in an avaricious mood. They lean into seeing Krishna as their enemy, or they are afraid of Krishna. They fear he will take away all that they have. Kamsa's fear of Krishna being the one to kill him ruled his life in ways that caused destruction, not only to himself, but to so many living beings caught in his grasp of fear, envy, and greed. And yet, because he was always thinking of Krishna, he achieved liberation through dying at the hands of Krishna. So, if Kamsa is able to achieve liberation, then how much more is Krishna going to reciprocate with those who desire to serve him in love? This is the promise when we begin to transform our vision of Krishna from distant judge to intimate friend, from punisher to loving father, from fear personified to union in loving reciprocation. The more we relate with Krishna's inconceivable abundance, the greater opportunity we have to experience Krishna as our well-wishing friend. The way we see people and circumstances in our lives begins to transform as our faith in Krishna's loving mercy increases. We begin to open up to possibility, to abundance, and to adventure. We become active participants in desiring to see with spiritual vision and being amazed when we experience Krishna's sweet reciprocation. As I was preparing for this talk, I received a sweet article coming from Srila Prabhupada on hankering for Krishna. In chapter 2 of Journey of Self-Discovery, he says, the first thing Krishna is looking for is how eager you are to see him. Krishna will respond. If you are actually eager to see Krishna, whether you are lusty or you want to steal his ornaments, or some way or other you have become attracted to Krishna, then it is sure your efforts will be successful. But you must desire Krishna only. In this connection, Rupa Goswami has written a verse. The idea is that one gopi is advising another gopi. My dear friend, there is one boy. His name is Govinda. He is standing on the bank of the Yamuna near the Keshigat, and he is playing on his flute. He is so beautiful, especially during this full moon night. If you have any intentions to enjoy in this material world with your children, husband, or other family members, then please do not go there. If you think that you will enjoy your life more in this material world, then do not go to see Krishna. Do not go there. Srila Prabhupada also mentions Krishna's threefold bending form, Tribhanga. Krishna always stands in a three-curved way with his flute. It is said that once this three-curved form penetrates one's heart, you cannot evict him. It is this three-bending form that keeps him stuck in the heart of the devotee eternally. When we taste the nectar of love emanating from reuniting with Krishna, we often find our material life gets disrupted. This disruption can be shocking to our materially conditioned minds. In fact, many turn away, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 3. Out of many thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection, and out of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So the path to seeing Krishna everywhere is one that disrupts everything we believe to be true so that we can enter into Krishna's eternal truth. It disrupts our false conceptions of life so that we can come to know our true nature as devoted servants of Krishna. Immediately after speaking of people hardly knowing him, Krishna reiterates the key points in today's verse and expands on how we can begin to see him in our daily lives. Let's dive into chapter 7, texts 4 through 7. Krishna says, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mine which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. All created beings have their source in these 2 natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Rambaru Brinkman speaks of a blending of both energies in her Karuna Care classes. She says, we first need to become fully human before we are able to transcend our humanity. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are marginal energy, which means we have one foot in both the spiritual and material realm. And so both our human and spiritual natures must work together to realize ourselves while we are embodied. This is the true self personified. This is the mentality of recognizing our eternal nature while accepting whatever material body Krishna sees fit for making progress on our journey towards him. the more we strive to acknowledge our humanity, seek Krishna's loving mercy and guidance, and desire to break free from the chains of false ego through consciously choosing to take shelter of Krishna, the more our vision clears and we see with eyes of gratitude, compassion, and wisdom. There is a quote from Francis Weller that describes this ideal so beautifully, especially as we are celebrating Thanksgiving in the US today. He says, "The work of the mature person is to carry grief in one hand and gratitude in the other, and to be stretched large by them. How much sorrow can I hold? That's how much gratitude I can give. If I carry only grief, I'll bend towards cynicism and despair. If I have only gratitude, I'll become saccharine and won't develop much compassion for other people's suffering. Grief keeps the heart fluid and soft, which helps make compassion possible." Krishna speaks of this deeper vision in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, text 32. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the equality of all beings in both their happiness and distress, O Arjuna. In the first line of this verse's purport, Srila Prabhupada states that this vision comes as a result of our own personal experience. When we experience love, compassion, and higher wisdom, we embody love, compassion, and higher wisdom. When we embody ourselves in wholeness with love and seek to offer loving service to Krishna in all of our daily activities, we enter into loving devotional service, which offers us eternal rewards of deep satisfaction, joy, and gratitude. As we have seen in this conversation between Nimi and the 9 Yogendras, this is a gradual progression, especially in this age of Kali Yuga, where we are surrounded by chaos, quarrel, confusion, and hypocrisy. Taking time to meditate on the profound love and wisdom Krishna so kindly offers helps to gradually scrub our hearts from the dust of conditioned life and bathes our hearts in the nectar of Krishna's inconceivable and unconditional love. One of the key factors brought up in this purport is ensuring we have the right vision of Krishna and his expansions. This right vision is rooted in simultaneous oneness and difference. Everything emanates from Krishna's energetic body, and yet we are all uniquely created beings with a role to play in Krishna's eternal pastimes. We can see in Krishna's pastimes that all the living beings are alive with various personalities, quirks, and ways of serving Krishna. Keeping Krishna at the center of our relationships can help support us in finding unity in diversity. Keeping Krishna at the center of how we relate to ourselves can offer us the shelter we need to embark on rooting out our anarthas that threaten to choke out our bhakti creeper. A few questions have arisen on my journey that continue to support my attempt to see with the higher vision described in this verse. I ask, am I willing to transform my fear into loving surrender, trusting that Krishna can see past, present, and future? Am I willing to turn to Krishna in my darkest hour, to allow the Maha Mantra to pour his loving mercy into my restless mind and heart? Am I willing to face whatever comes my way with the courageous vision of seeing Krishna's hand in everything? We have so many examples of this amazing courage that we can rely on in times of uncertainty. Dear Rukmini Walker spoke of 4 ways of counting our blessings as it relates to leaning into courage. She encourages us to look back like Kunti Devi, recognizing how many times Krishna saved her. To look ahead like Prahlad Maharaj, trusting Krishna in all circumstances. To look within like Dhruva Maharaj, finding Krishna within. And to look around like Srila Prabhupada, in a mood of serving Krishna through radical noticing. So how do we begin to see with this higher vision? Krishna offers the stepwise process in Bhagavad Gita 12, texts 8 through 12. Taking time to recognize where we are at with acceptance and gratitude for the opportunity to step forward is a great first step. I deeply appreciate Kalakantha Das Prabhu's poetic translation of the 12th verse from Srila Prabhupada's Gita Gone translation. Krishna says, to summarize, to serve you in pure exact love is best. If that's too much, by practicing devotion, you'll progress. If that's too much, then study as the learned souls suggest. If that's too much, to meditate within yourself is next. If that's too much, some action linked to God is still success. I really love this translation because it is filled with Krishna's compassion and understanding. It is filled with Krishna celebrating where we are at and offering wisdom for how to progress. Yesterday's verse speaks directly to relating to Krishna in love through chanting the Maha Mantra with a sincere desire to awaken our dormant, loving devotional service to him. Every day we have an opportunity to cry out to Krishna through the Maha Mantra, no matter what life circumstances we find ourselves in. We have the ultimate blessing of the Maha Mantra as our greatest act of devotional service in this age of Kali Yuga. By chanting and hearing the Maha Mantra, we allow Krishna's divine nature to flow from our lips, through our ears, and into our hearts, bathing us in the nectar of love for which we are hankering. Krishna's pastimes and wisdom coming from the Bhagavad Gita offer us so many hooks through which to remember Krishna by. I recall being in an Urban Devi class, and the speaker had a picture of the Pringles can, which had a mustache. Next to this picture was a picture of Arjuna with his mustache. It made me laugh, but it was also profound in how when we desire to see Krishna, Krishna reveals himself in often subtle ways. Praying to Krishna before we enter into the busyness of life, please, Krishna, let me see you in some way today, can help pull us into the spirit of curiosity, adventure, and surprise. When we open up to curiosity, we open up to higher vision and broadening perspectives. Being curious about how Krishna is showing up in our various circumstances helps us to see the lessons hidden within. One of my favorite quotes that I have hung on to is, "Blessed are the curious, for they shall have adventures." As I reflect on this, I am reminded of the adventures in Krishna's pastimes, sparking a mood of wonder in the residents of Vrindavan. Curiosity sparks amazement, wonder, and gratitude. Abraham Joshua Heschel offers wonderful wisdom on the power of amazement. He says, our goal should be to live life in radical amazement. Get up in the morning and look at the world in a way that takes nothing for granted. Everything is phenomenal. Everything is incredible. To be spiritual is to be amazed. When we open up to this vision, a natural gratefulness emanates from us, and from gratefulness comes satisfaction and happiness. On this Thanksgiving Day, I would like to end with opening you up to the mood of abundance gratitude offers. Brother David Snindle-Rast is a Benedictine monk who survived the atrocities of the Holocaust through embodying a mood of gratitude amidst external chaos, fear, and devastation. The world was awfully cruel, but as he looked around to see the ways people were looking out for each other and giving from what little they had, he understood at a very young age the power of living in gratefulness. He says, if you're grateful, you are not fearful. You're not violent. If you're grateful, you act out of a sense of enough and not of a sense of scarcity, and you're willing to share. If you're grateful, you are enjoying the differences between people, and you are respectful to everybody. And that changes the power pyramid under which we live. Dear Rukmini Walker offers us a few hooks for us to remember the important role of gratitude on our spiritual journey. As she says, gratitude is happiness doubled by wonder. Finally, gratitude makes space for Krishna's grace. In this mood, I want to offer my humble gratitude to Srila Prabhupada for all of his sacrifices to offer us access to the most powerful method for reviving our true nature, rooted in loving devotional service to Krishna. And to all his disciples and the various devotees around the world who are striving to revive Krishna consciousness and higher awareness, I offer my humble obeisances. May we approach chanting the holy names daily with a mood of curiosity, gratitude, and amazement, while resting in Krishna's wonderful, unconditional loving mercy, trusting that he will gradually open us up to seeing with spiritual vision and wisdom that is infused with appreciation and respect for all components of Krishna's inconceivable nature. Thank you very much. I will leave the rest of the time open for comments, questions, reflections, feedback, as you so desire.
Thank you very much, Nartaki Radha. What a rich and thick class. Thank you so much. Beautiful, wonderful, overwhelming success. Thank you. My question is, if I am more devotional than Kamsa, apparently, maybe, no, then, and if Krishna carries what I lack and preserves what I have, how come I'm losing hair, my hairline is receding? How come Krishna is not preserving that if I'm more devotional than Kamsa? And how come, I don't know what I lack? But yeah, how come he's not supplied any of that? I mean, he hasn't supplied some of that yet.
I love that you're bringing up one of my favorite verses that I cling to. so this is a good opportunity to remind us of what is Krishna's marginal and temporary energy and what is his eternal energy. So yeah, we are going to have these bodies change. We are going to lose our hair. We may not get everything we want, but we do get everything we need. And sometimes what we need is the suffering, because that's what makes us cling to Krishna, cry out to Krishna, pray to him for shelter and for protection. And that's part of what I love about Kunti Devi, looking back and seeing how Krishna protected her in all ways and in all things.
Thank you very much, Nartaki Radha. If anybody is in need of suffering, you are in the right class. Dear devotees, please unmute yourself and contribute to the discussion. Anybody? Adipusha Prabhu?
I never really have anything to say, but I do pray to Srila Prabhupada what he'd like to say. And it's a wonderful class and wonderful to see your demeanor, your joyfulness and your wisdom and your readiness to glorify Krishna. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Adipusha Prabhu. Janitai Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Nartaki Radha Devi, wonderful class. Thank you so much. So many deep and powerful reflections. And I just wanted to remind that Ananda Bihari Prabhu asked if you would share a little bit about yourself, because for some of us, it may be our first time being with you. So we'd like to hear a little bit about you, if you wouldn't mind sharing some. Thank you.
Certainly. Yeah, so I have felt out of place in this world for as long as I can remember. I recall just feeling like I was going through life being misunderstood, having a depth to me that was just incomprehensible to me. And so at the age of 18, 19, I started diving into Christianity, and I loved the essential teachings of Jesus and how he pointed us towards loving God. And that was always kind of my hook and my link. And yet there was nothing that still nourished that depth. And so I ran into challenges of just not being able to have my questions answered, ran into challenges of being misunderstood, being taken for granted, my compassionate and giving nature being taken advantage of, and suffering toxicity and abuse in religious circles. So one day back in 2016, after I was working on recovering from some deep PTSD, I landed on a mantra meditation introductory class that was being held here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And in that introductory class, I was introduced to kirtan, to japa, and to the essential philosophy of Krishna being a person. And in that moment, I recognized that it was Krishna that had been with me through every ounce of suffering and every ounce of pain that I had experienced. It was Krishna that I was calling out to, and it was Krishna that was inviting me into a personal loving relationship with him. Within 4 days, my insomnia ceased by chanting japa at night before I went to bed. I was like, what is this magic of the Maha Mantra? And that's what kept me hooked. And my bhakti journey has not been easy. It has been wrought with still feeling misunderstood, still feeling out of place. And yet Krishna has delivered exactly what I have needed to not only cling to him and recognize my relationship with him, but also to serve Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya and Krishna's mission in whatever way I possibly can, by offering compassion, empathy, and wisdom in ways that help open hearts and minds.
Thank you. She felt out of place. I like it. At least I'm not the only one. I know. Martina has her hand up.
Hi, Nartaki. Oh my God, what a gift you are. Um, what a surprise when I saw it was you today. So we are in a sage group together, and every time we kind of elevate, us a little bit more. And for me, your insights and commentaries today really, really, really struck a chord with the world we live in right now. In terms of that, what we like to call that God-shaped hole in the heart that so many leaders, so-called leaders around the world, are trying to fill. And you give us the tools to see them as human beings, struggling, even though forgiveness is difficult to extend when you see so much cruelty. So I'm not there yet personally. I can't forgive the cruelty that I see around me, that I've gone in the past. I'm trying. But it's a good reminder what those texts and all your wisdom brings. And also what resonated with me also is what you just said about feeling out of place, because I felt that way too. And I navigate for the last 6 years in this world of bhakti, and at the same time I'm very attached to my Judaism, my identity, my cultural identity, and this is not something I'm willing to surrender, especially in those times. I think it's essential that to show up, whether in Krishna or in my Judaism, but to show up, to stand up, to be counted for, which is one of the strongest precepts of Judaism, So, and I think it's universal. We find it in Bhakti too. We are called to show up, and show up with humility, and show up every day, regardless. So, you start my Thanksgiving in such a beautiful way. Thank you. I wish you the same. And to everybody here, thank you, thank you, thank you. I missed you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those deep and wonderful reflections, Martine. I couldn't agree with you more that right now I am struggling finding the humanity in what's going on in today's world. It's something that I have been wrestling with for quite a while, and I just have to cling to remembering that Krishna does have an ultimate plan. And if I can forgive my wrongdoings and forgive the ways I've shown up in ways that have been harmful and cruel to others, then I can choose to be that light. I can choose to offer something different, authenticity, standing tall, as you said, in a world that is trying to demand conformity. And so I love the fact that you said that you're standing tall in your roots of Judaism. What Bhakti has given me is a greater appreciation for Jesus Christ and his teachings of love and justice in a world that is completely devoid of those things. And so if we can rely on those as we step forward, then we can be emanations of Krishna's abundance, love, and mercy in ways that do seek justice. And even yesterday, I was doing a Bond of Love with one of my god sisters, reading a Bond of Love with one of my god sisters. And one of the Vaishnavis stood in her power and just simply wanted to chant alongside all of the Vaishnavas as Srila Prabhupada was leaving his body. And by her sincere and humble desire to just simply be present and chant the Maha Mantra to Srila Prabhupada, it opened the door for all the other Vaishnavis to come into the room and not be outside looking through a window. So all the Vaishnavis came in, and Prabhupada was surrounded by all of his sons and daughters.
I think also additionally what you brought up is Draupadi, and for us as women in a world right now where we women are being attacked on all sides, we need that more than ever. And also the idea that the divine, I have, call it God, Krishna, whatever, is being hijacked under the precept of all those so-called leaders and it's not reflecting what all the spiritual traditions are based on. Yeah. So thank you so much for all this. That was wonderful. Thank you. Sorry, I spoke a lot today. Very unlike me in this forum. I don't feel totally. I feel totally inadequate. But anyway, thank you so much.
Okay, Nartaki Radha, once again, thank you so much. Wonderful class, wonderful answers, reflections, testimonies, quotes, references. Thank you so much. Please check out Nartaki Radha's website, dear devotees. It's in the chat. And I'll put it in the WhatsApp group. Now is the darshan time. Turn on your cameras like Martine. See? Martine is on fire today.
Haripurusham bhajami Govindam Bhagavatam Samastitodasurayam Kanda Bhakoti
The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way we can obtain pure devotional service.
I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth.
Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires.
He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth.
From him ecstatic flame emanates, and by him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy. The remnant of the poor and Lord and Master of the
Oh,
Master is merciful to us. It's a shame that the lotus feet.
many thanks for all the three loaves. We take shelter at your lotus feet. Dear Father King,
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Bhakti Center Temple Room. Welcome to the Afterglow. Nartaki Radha, you have a few minutes to stay over time? Yep.
I do.
Thank you very much. Dear devotees, please ask your questions. This is the overtime sessions. Please be mindful of time, of Krishna in the form of time. Be brief. Min followed by Mathuranath Prabhu.
Thank you so much for a wonderful class. I have a question about something you said that really stood out for me. I shockingly got a news last night that one of my very dear friends has passed.
I'm very sorry to hear that, Min.
And it was very untimely. You had spoken about for how it's possible for us to hold grief and joy at the same time and stretch ourselves. I'm wondering if you could speak a little more about that. I haven't been on this path too long, and it's really losing someone so important to me since coming to this path. Yes, if you could speak something about that, because I mean, I like to see Krishna in everything, and I do miraculously, but it just still seems a little too raw. Thank you.
Yeah, and I hear that. I want to honor the grief for what it is, because you are feeling this depth of loss of somebody you held very important in your life. This person was a part of your journey, and now the physical presence is gone, and so that is going to come with a depth of grief and mourning that cannot be alleviated through bypassing it. We have to enter into that grief. We have to honor that grief for what it is, because from grief we learn that great love was there, and the depth of our grief points us to the depth of love that this person had and still does have in our lives. So by honoring this process, by not rushing through it, by allowing it, then gratitude will gradually come, but the devastation will be there for now, especially with it being so raw and so new and so unexpected. And it's those unexpected things that really can take us down and make us question, and it's okay to question.
Thank you so much. It's really helpful.
Thank you, Nartaki Radha. Thank you, men, for being so vulnerable. Uh, it's okay to question, and the answer will come. Krishna is capable of intervening. We may not. We may feel small, insignificant, hurt. We may feel hurt. It's fine. Like Nartaki Radha said, we don't want to bypass that. But Krishna is so wonderful that he can bail us out. He can come to the rescue. He can reveal what's behind that grief, the sweetness that Nartaki Radha was referring to, that's behind every situation, and it is including those that can cause some grief. I remember one devotee passed away, and another devotee told, and I said, "Oh, he left." And this other devotee I was talking to told me, "Yeah, yeah, but I feel good about him. He's in a good place." And I was like, "What?" I feel good about him, and he had a good life, and we do feel good about people when they had good life, and they're moving on to their next destination. We don't want to drown in negative emotions. We want to honor them, like Nartaki Radha said, but not necessarily drown. And we want to. Devotional service is joyful, and there's joy in every situation, but it takes maturity, practice, guidance to see that. Right, Nartaki Radha?
Yeah. Well, and also recognizing that even if we don't feel it, and even if we don't experience it, Krishna is our ultimate comfort in the times of great distress and great grief. And he is there present in his names, in his pastimes, to help us hold that grief. And sometimes going back to even just Arjuna's despair, and remembering that Arjuna entered into conversation with Krishna because he was overwhelmed with grief and despair. So when we turn to Krishna, he can be our comfort.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I feel like just the timing of it, in a bigger picture, I hope that at some point I'll be able to see the humor that Krishna is presenting to me in feeling gratitude for this loss. So thank you so much.
One thing I would like to say to that is we may not be grateful for everything, but we can find moments of gratitude in everything. So I did want to highlight the difference between the two. I am not grateful for the cruelty that I experienced, but I am grateful in the cruelty because of the lessons that eventually revealed themselves. So patience is a virtue as well.
Thank you. Amatarnath Prabhu has his hand up.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much for the class. Min, I'm really sorry for your loss. I see you have a very big, sensitive heart, and it's beautiful to see. I'm also going through some difficulty. My Gurudev, Mahatma Prabhu, just had a stroke on Sunday night, and so he's in the hospital. So I ask for everybody's prayers. And from your class, I was just reflecting on you were talking about really letting Krishna into our life and seeing how amazing and how magnanimous he is, and from that place, gratitude will start to form. Gratitude will come. And I was thinking, are we performing? Are we engaging in performative devotional service or transformative devotional service? Because in performative devotional service, we're trying to perform to win Krishna over. But in transformative, we're allow Krishna to come into my life. Let him come in and let him transform me. And I was also thinking about control. You were talking about leaders. There's a little discussion on leadership, and the materialists try to control others, or the yogis try to control themselves, but the devotees allow Krishna to come in, to start taking control of their life. So this is the beginning of our bhakti. And then in the higher stages of bhakti, then Krishna, we can control Krishna with our love, when we have love and when we develop love. But the beginning is to allow Krishna to come in, to start allow him to come in our life and start controlling. So those are some reflections. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those reflections. Definitely sending prayers for Mahatma Prabhu's recovery and well wishes for him as he works through these continued challenges. I know this isn't the first time he's suffered a massive event. So sending many prayers to him. I do appreciate you bringing up the fact that it's a transition between performative and transformative. And one of the distinctions I like to make is, are we performing and striving, or are we resting in presence? And the more we can rest in Krishna's presence, rest in inquiry, in curiosity, the more Krishna can work within us and then also work through us. And so presence is, as you mentioned, that transformative aspect, and it requires going silent and turning inward and looking at the ways Krishna is working in our lives to support our service to him and out to the world.
Yeah, thank you for that. So much of the time, I think, due to our conditioning, we try to begin our bhakti with doing and just I'm going to do service. But Prabhupada translated it as devotional service. So that means there's actually a deep emotion in what we're doing. And in order to develop emotion, we need to first start to have Krishna come into our life and have a relationship with him. If we're just, I was also reflecting, it's like like, you know, usually we're a little child, we're a little baby when we can come to spiritual life, then we become a little toddler. And if the toddler is trying to do big things, it becomes a mess. But when the toddler just allows the parent to really step in and show them and teach them and really be in control and show us how, you know, we don't know how to love. So he's there, our parents going to show us how to love, how to really have emotions, how to do everything, how to show, we need to be taught everything by Krishna when we're in our young stages of bhakti. And a lot of people don't get past the young stages of bhakti because they just go into doing and they get stuck. So we find devotees stuck in anartha nivritti. And because Krishna needs to come in and take care of the anarthas, we don't have the power to do it on our own.
Yeah. We need Krishna's mercy.
Yeah. And a lot of time people think, well, the mercy comes by how much I do.
That's the ascending process. And I love the fact one of the very first things that I clung to in that introductory class that I attended back in 2016 was the fact that the Maha Mantra offers a descending process where Krishna's love and mercy and abundance descends upon us through the Maha Mantra. And so that instantaneously helped me to start to break free from that doing. Now, it still took 7 years of overgiving and overserving and forgetting myself and abandoning myself before I recognized exactly where my service lied. And there's nothing that I regret about that, because I do recognize now that the descending process has helped open me up to where my greatest gifts and talents lie, where my greatest service lies, and to be able to offer that out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. I was also reflecting, you know, we hear this verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, I'm reciprocate accordingly to one's, you know. So I think a lot of times we think, oh, Krishna's going to reciprocate to how much I do. But Krishna in the beginning stages is going to reciprocate to how much we let him in.
Right. Right. And he's the illicit lover. He breaks apart everything we believe to be true, so that we can enter into real truth and real profound transformative love.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're all transformers. We're undergoing some transformation. And this class was very transformational, Nartaki Vada. Thank you so much. Just by hearing from you is very therapeutic and nice. Thank you. Not just the quotes, but you as a devotee offering a wonderful class. Would Satyavati, would you like to speak? Would you like to ask a question or share a reflection? You look like a very reflective personality. Unmute yourself.
I know it's really early for you, Satyavati, earlier than for me. So thank you for being here.
Good morning, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your presence, Nartaki. And I feel like having some tears right now. And I was listening to you and Mathuranath Das speak and thinking like, wow, I could just listen to this back and forth, because you you both shared such salve for the heart. I thank you for the invitation to speak as well. I don't. I just really needed to hear that. I wrote this down, that to be spiritual is to be amazed, and how, as I step away from my computer this morning and go into my day, how that invitation to be amazed is something I get to live with in community with all of you. So I'm just so grateful and amazed.
Thank you very much for that. You know, that's one quote that helped drive me in the direction of cultivating a Krishna magic journal, where before I go to bed, I write the Krishna magic for the day and then offer a prayer of thank you, Krishna. Thank you for showing me the ways that you showed up in my life. Sometimes that Krishna magic is through unpleasantness, but it's still magic nonetheless. I did want to point to Poppy's question in the chat, where she asks, is there a fine line between bypassing the raw emotions that come with grief and some people turning you to bypass the human emotions and come to a radical acceptance of Krishna's decision? Yes, Poppy, there is. There is something that I hold near and dear to my heart, because I have had my raw emotions bypassed by those portraying spirituality, and it hurts deeply. So the definition of spiritual bypassing is using spiritual truths or spiritual wisdom to bypass the raw human emotions. And that's what I love about Ram Baru reminding us that we are at first humans, while also having our essence in spirituality. But unless we are able to hold to both, we cannot transcend our humanity with wisdom, with grace, and with compassion entering into our hearts and coming out of us. And so the great call is not to drown in the raw emotions, but to see the emotions as teachers and to become curious about what is this grief pointing me to. Where there is great grief, there is great love, honoring that love. Where there's anger, there's a boundary being bypassed. So what is that boundary, and how can I respond instead of react? So pausing to be curious about our emotions can help avoid that bypass and allow us to sit with the emotions in a way that helps transform those emotions towards wisdom.
Emotions towards wisdom. I have to re-listen to this class. It's so rich. Yeah. And I'll put the playback speed to 0.5.
I don't know. I was kind of talking a lot more slowly than I normally do when I go live. So
I'll play with it. I'll speed up if necessary. Yeah. Okay, Devaki Priti, as this will be the last question. Devaki Priti, please.
Hi Krishna, thank you so much for your class. I definitely need to go back because I was a bit late, but I'm happy I could hear the afterglow. I had a little bit of a question. How can we be a support to people? Like sometimes, like people, devotees experiences where people are bypassing their grief, and I want to know how can we be there for them, because it is very it hurts a lot, and how can we be a support for them when they are dealing with people that are doing that to them when they're grieving?
yeah. Thank you for that question. Thank you for your beautiful smile. Yeah, so I'm going to lean into some instructions one of my gurus offered to me, and that is called radical noticing. So if we can radically notice that person that just simply needs to speak their story and humbly listen and validate their lived experience, we do not have to agree. We do not have to believe. It does not have to be coming from our perspective. But the moment we validate somebody else for their lived experience is the moment that they feel seen, heard, and valued as a human being. And once we allow for them to feel seen, heard, and valued, then that grief, that anger, that emotion, the shame, the fear, it all drops away because somebody was brave enough to simply sit with them and say, I cannot imagine how awful this is for you, but I am right here. And that is the path towards compassionate care.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Annabelle, Isaiah, please, where are you? Karen, Annabelle, Isaiah. Okay, let's do it.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Annabelle and Isaiah. You are the best reciters. Thank you, Nartaki Radha. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this offering to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Parampara and the community. We love you. We need you. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for your association. And again tomorrow. Every day that Thanksgiving, right, Nartaki Radha? Every day or just
Absolutely.
today? Yeah, every
You're
day.
right.